Hello everyone, I'm Day Weather Meteorologist Don Day with your Public Lands Council weekly weather blast update for this November 13th, 2021. It's being brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance Services Incorporated. This is what we're tracking for you in the week ahead. These are our Western weather highlights. The storm track is going to be tracking along the northern tier of the U.S. We have seen this over the past week, where it's going from the Pacific Northwest across the northern Rockies into the northern plains in southern Canada. That's where all the action is. That has led to a mild and drier trend, and we see that, generally speaking, for most of the western United States into early next week. That means drier for the desert Southwest and drier conditions for most of, if not all, of California over the next week or so, as the storm track goes more to the south. Now, we do see a cooler pattern, maybe getting wet again in some areas of the west by the middle to the end of next week. And in the long term, we continue to see signals in the long term of colder weather by the end of November and early December. And I really think we need to start around Thanksgiving week and the week after for the potential of maybe some significant cold that stock growers will need to pay attention to. We don't see it for sure, 100% guarantee yet, but we're certainly seeing signals. And you're going to want to stay tuned to our weekly weather blast next week, as we'll have a better look at the last full week of November into early December and see if that cold does come on in. Over the last 7 days, you can see it's been wet again in the Pacific Northwest, Central and Northern California, into the Northern Rockies, and then up here into the Northern Plains states. The dry trend that has developed over the Southern Rockies and the Southwest United States continues, as that storm track, again, favoring those areas up here. Classic La Nina, where you get good moisture in this flow in the Pacific North and parts of the Intermountain West, and then you have a downsloping area where you have moisture getting soaked up by the mountains to the west and not much moisture east of the divide before the storms pick up steam and draw moisture in from the Gulf as they head into the upper Midwest. We may very well see that similar pattern again as we head in the next week. And if you look at the precipitation anomalies, we still had parts of central and northern California and the Pacific Northwest have above average precipitation over the past week, with below average or near average conditions elsewhere. If you look at the latest Drought Monitor, it looks very similar to what we showed you a week ago. We don't have as many improvements over the past week as we showed you last week. However, with that said, we do have some Class 1 improvements for extreme southwest Oregon and parts of central and northern areas of California here, a little section of Utah, a little section of Montana, and sections of eastern Washington. So the wet weather we had in October has carried over into early November for parts of the far west and northwest. So there's been some very modest improvements, but improvements nonetheless. Snowpack is off to a really good start. You see all the blue, purplish colors there? Those are snowpacks. Anywhere you see blue or purple, these are snowpacks that are far above average. Now, it's early in the season, so this is a trend that doesn't necessarily hold, but it is encouraging. Anywhere you see yellow or oranges, you're a bit below normal with snowpack. The area of snowpack we're most concerned about this winter is going to be down here. I think our snowpack conditions with this La Nina we have will be really good up here in the Pacific Northwest, including the Sierra Nevadas, and also the Central and Northern Rockies. In this area right here, I think could do well. But south of that line will be a little bit more difficult. We'll see how it goes this snowpack season, but it's going to favor the western and northern snowpack areas the best. Now, as we go forward, this is the pattern we've got right now. High pressure building to the west coast, a mild, dry air mass this weekend and early next week. We'll focus on these areas here, and you can see how these lines put together. This is basically showing where the jet stream is, with that jet stream riding along to the north before taking a dip into the Great Lakes. The cold air is up there. It is really, really building, but right now, this west to east jet stream flow is keeping that really cold air bottled up in the northern latitudes, at least for now. As we go forward next week, this is a week from today, as we make this video here on the 13th, you can see that we start to see a little bit more of a dip. There's that colder air up there. We'll have rain and snow return to British Columbia, the Pacific Northwest, and into the northern Rockies. And what we see here, right here, is the table setting, so to speak, getting ready to set up a pattern where high pressure builds in the Gulf of Alaska and allows the jet stream to take a dip south. And what happens is that cold air up here, Thanksgiving week or the week after, could spill into the central and parts of the western United States. And that's something we'll keep a really close eye on. Over the next week, this is the forecasted precipitation. You can see it's favoring the northern areas the most. In the western parts of Canada and the extreme northern states of the U.S. near the Canadian border. That's where the heaviest precipitation will be. And a lot of this is going to be snow. And you can see an impressive snow shield beginning to form in the southern provinces of Canada. And this is something that could play a role. You put snow cover down here this time of year with the low sun angle, the longer nights and the shorter days, that snow stays on the ground. So when we start to see the Arctic outbreaks forming and coming, well, it's easier for that Arctic air to move south and maintain its cold if there's snow on the ground up there. So while we may be relatively mild over the next 5 to 7 days in this part of the western United States, the stage is set. The potential for that colder weather at the end of November and early December is certainly there. The new 30-day outlook reflects where that jet stream wants to be in the northern areas. The green is really in Canada and the far northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. Drier than normal conditions in the central and southern areas of the west, especially along and south of I-70. Now, we think a lot of this as we get into December may change a little bit, but it's going to be these northern and northwest areas that are going to do the best with precipitation. Drier conditions here. As we go and look at temperature, now it looks pretty warm. This is through the 13th of December, but I want to tell you that this warmth right here, relative to average, is going to occur in the next 7 to 10 days. You see the blue up here in western areas of Canada. This is some cold that's likely going to spill into this part of the country here as we get into early to mid-December, maybe starting as early as late November. Our next update will be Saturday the 20th. Have a great weekend and have a great week ahead.